Welcome to What's Hot Harlem America with G. Keith Alexander. The crossroads where culture, lifestyle, and community meet, all hosted by the legendary New York radio TV personality and proud Harlem American, G. Keith Alexander.
Hey, thank you so very, very much. Welcome to What's Hot Harlem America. And wherever you are, I appreciate you for joining our neighborhood as we hang out together in Harlem, America. Today, in the What's Hot Spotlight is actor, model, and entrepreneur, Maryam Basir. She's the star of the All Black Network's Lace, and you've seen her on television shows such as Law Order SVU, The Chi, Chicago PD, Empire, and more, and in films with superstars Denzel Washington and Wesley Snipes. So it is my distinct honor and pleasure to say that my special guest, Maryam Basir, is What's Hot. Hello there.
Hi, G. Keith. How are you?
I'm okay. Thank you so very, very much. It's such a pleasure to have you. I know you're a busy lady with all of the jobs and things that you're doing, and I welcome you. So
thank you. My pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
How have you been holding up during the COVID and post-COVID? How has it been for you?
It was definitely a challenge at first. And, just like everybody, it was a huge shift and transformation of like lifestyle for everybody. And it took some getting used to, but I think that my industry adjusted very quickly by doing, it turned into like auditions in person and castings in person to like self-tapes, which already are done, are were common in the industry. Like if you're doing something that's like from LA or somewhere, that's not local. So we were already used to doing self-tapes, but now self-tapes turned from like 15% to like 100%. So you had to like really amp up your self-tape skills. Over the pandemic, I went back to Michigan and like stayed with my mom and got some time to just like reflect, spend time with family. So there were some good points that came out of it. Work on my business, just do a lot of constructive things. And then toward the middle of 2020, things started getting really busy as far as work. Like I said, my industry adjusted quickly. I did a film called A Holiday Heartbreak last summer that,
yes.
We just had COVID tests every couple of days on set. We had, kind of in a bubble where, we just stayed in DC, did and just shot, and that's it. So, and then work started, just coming, and they started saying that just, you have to go get your COVID test, you have to be COVID negative. And it was just part of the list of things you have to do now. There's like a COVID compliant person on set now, and we're still working,
Well, that's beautiful. I had to do some self-tapes myself. I even went to my agency's office, CESD's office, and they were closed, no one in there. So everyone's got to do the auditions
from home.
Everyone's got to do the auditions from home and everything. And I've had to, set up green screen and all that stuff in order to be able to do it. But so I tell you what, let's take the Wayback Machine and tell us what it was like growing up in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and what was that like for you?
Oh, growing up in Ann Arbor, Michigan was beautiful. I had a great childhood with my siblings, my mother. There are 5 of us, and we just are all very close. Ann Arbor is called Ann Arbor because of arbor for trees. So like there are trees in nature everywhere. We had like a pond in our backyard, and I was kind of a tomboy growing up. So I grew up like catching frogs and snakes and lizards when we went down south. I was just a happy kid growing up there, and into the arts. Ann Arbor's a very artsy place, so just doing a lot of interesting, fun things to like explore myself and figure out what I wanted to do in life. Yeah.
Well, how did you get into the arts?
So I've always kind of been an entrepreneur. I'll start there. Like I used to braid little girl's hair when I was like, I don't know, I must have been like 10, 11 years old when I started like braiding hair and charging $5 for braids. And then me and my sister started a business called Sisters 3, where we made jewelry and like sold it at festivals. And, you know, I designed the business cards, and I was always drawing and just doing art, sketching, drawing, painting, anything artistic. I was always into it. And I would say that's how I got started. My mother always encouraged us to, like, you know, really go after whatever we're interested in that way. She wasn't like, oh, you know, you have to be a doctor, you have to be a lawyer. It was like, you know, what do you want to do? And then just try to encourage that and fuel that and feed that. So I would say that's what started it. And then in high school, I had my own like nail salon up in my room where I would do everybody's nails.
Really?
Yeah. I would do people's nails for prom, the designs and everything, you know. And
you were really enterprising.
Yes, very, very, always. And yeah, so I did that, and I would do hairstyles and, you know, charge everybody just a little bit and start making a little bit money like that, and then babysitting. But yeah, that's where it started. I think always inside, because I look back at like videos from like when we were kids and stuff, and I remember like we would do these plays, and there was this one play that we did, and I played like 5 or 6 different characters. I was like, wait, I was like an actor back then. I just didn't even know it. Didn't realize that that's what I was supposed to be doing. So, you know, anything creative, I've always been into it.
All right. So growing up, you grew up not being as, how can I say this? You sort of hid your beauty growing up. Elaborate on that for us. I want to be delicate about it, and so
okay. You can. I mean, you asked me before. You know, you said, how did you handle?
Yes, how did you handle being so attractive, so beautiful as a young lady? Did that work against you? And
so okay, so I grew up in a strict Muslim household, and like I'm Muslim, and the way that we grew up, I used to cover, and like, you know, once you reach a certain age, you cover your hair, your body, so you don't really show off your beauty. It's kind of like you protect it, you save it, you know, for your husband one day, and you know, you cover everything except your hands, your face, and your feet, right? So people don't see your hair, people don't see like your figure, your shape. You wear clothing that's like modest, considered modest, and that's how I grew up. So I didn't go through like high school and stuff dating. I didn't have boyfriends. I didn't have like any of the like high school drama. I was a president of the Black Student Union in high school, and when they voted for superlatives, I got voted everybody's best friend and most likely to become president. So I didn't really even deal with that, like what you're talking about, oh, beauty and stuff like that. It was just like, you know, I had my friends, I was a student, I was like, you know, just living life. And I kind of like after school, I came to New York and got discovered, I guess. And that's when I started like, you know, I started uncovering and like, you know, then shifted into like totally opposite kind of thing. Muslim bikini model. That's what CNN did an article on me called Muslim bikini model. Wow. And so that was very interesting for like my dad, who is an imam, which is a religious leader. You know, kind of like a preacher, a priest, or like a rabbi. So my father is an imam. So he just is like totally against all of this. And but you know, I don't feel like just being hijabi and covered and stuff like that. I think that's actually a beautiful thing. I think that if that's what the woman wants to do, then that's what she should do. And because I know the reason behind it, and you know, it can be beautiful. But I also think the woman's body is a beautiful thing. I think that a woman's beauty is something that can be celebrated, you know, inner beauty and outer beauty. And I don't think that there's anything wrong either way. So I just feel like people have to live their lives based on what they feel is right in their hearts and what aligns with what they feel they want to do. So I just kind of like, you know, I grew up in a household just with everybody and, you know, just influenced by my family, and I appreciate that. And I love the way that I grew up because it caused me to be very, very disciplined in general, because, you know, it's just in the religion, it's so much discipline that happens, and it kind of like set my framework for life. And so I really appreciate my upbringing. And then when I came to New York and started just saying, oh, okay. Like, that's why nobody from high school recognizes me, nobody from college. Like, hey, who are you? They're like, Maryam. So yeah, it's kind of been, it's different, but it's kind of like a way to like invent yourself. And you know, I'm okay with who I am right now, you know, constantly growing, and, you know, it might change tomorrow. But, you know, this is where I am right now.
Wow, that's beautiful. I have one other question to ask in regards to this, and I want to be very, you know, respectful in asking, because I'm sure that there's some listeners who may have the, you know, wondered the same thing. If a woman is wearing the hijab and she's strictly covered, how does uh, uh, how does she, or how does a man fall in love with a woman that he really can't see? Is it all mental? Is it all in? I mean, how does that connection get made?
Well, the hijab, it doesn't mean like, I mean, I covered my hair. People, you know,
Mhm.
could see my face. You could see like my general build, you know, like you could
Well,
see.
I've seen women
Yeah,
who
some women do like the complete face veil and everything.
yes,
All that.
yes,
My mom
yes.
used to do that at one very brief point in her
Mhm.
life. But yeah, that a lot of that happens through like, so the way you rely on like your family. And okay, it's kind of known, like I have two brothers and three
Mhm.
sisters, and I didn't even know this until kind of recently. My brother said that all these guys would just come around because they wanted to like marry his sisters, you know. Like, and I thought they were just his friends, you know. He said no, those guys just, he said they would befriend us. And then, you know, there's just like a system, you know. There's the mosque, there's the Ummah, which is the community.
Mhm.
And you kind of like, you know, know that a lot of Muslim people, they get married really young, which, you know, there are pros and cons to that.
Mhm.
But you know, people, there's a way you can connect with each other. You can still talk. It starts off through like your father, like the person's supposed to go and like talk to your father and say, you know, may I talk to your daughter, you know, like that, if they're interested and they want to like set intentions. And, you know, then they start talking. Sometimes they connect, sometimes they don't. It's kind of like dating, but it's kind of a little bit more regulated.
I
But
see.
it's still kind of like dating. And you know, they get to know each other. And I think it's good to get to know beyond the physical, and, you know, to have some surprises, you
Mhm.
know, and not just like let everything out on the table all the time.
Right, right, right. I
um
agree.
there's a system, and some people follow it, some people don't, you know. Some people just still date, some people still, you know, do whatever they want to do. um yeah,
Well, thank you very much for sharing that with us.
but
Uh,
they fall in love, they can fall in love, trust me, without seeing your hair.
really? Okay. So, all right. So now you get to New York City, and you mentioned you were discovered.
Mhm.
How were you discovered? Where were you? What were you doing? Who came up to you and said what?
Okay, so it was I was working, I had a job set up already before I moved to New York as a receptionist at this e-commerce consulting firm. And so I went downstairs like for my lunch. I think it was like a 9 to 12, 9 to 1 job or whatever. So I was done with work and I went downstairs to the bank, and the security guard at the bank was like, "Are you a model? Are you an actor?" Like, I was like, "No." And then he was like, "Well, you're pretty enough. You should like really look into that." And that kind of put the bug in my ear. But yeah, and then I just started working with more agencies, and then just started booking work. And then I was like, it just became like a thing that I loved acting, I loved modeling. And it just, the more I grew, I started like taking classes and just started learning more about it. And I was like, you know, it was kind of like the path of least resistance. It was just immediate work, immediate, you know, income. And I'm just like, all right, let me just follow this and see what happens. Started
Mhm.
getting more work, better work. And then it just grew from there, you know?
So you actually did a lot of modeling all over the world for
Mhm.
various um, campaigns.
Mhm.
Name some of the campaigns that you've done as a print model.
So for print, I've done stuff for, well, I did recently something for L'Oreal, but that was like L'Oreal print and like new media. So they use
Mhm.
social media. And um, for print, I've done DSW shoes, Walmart from Walmart to CVS, print. I'm drawing a blank right now. I got to pull up my list.
Well, so we
sometimes I do all this stuff and then I just forget about it. I've done
know.
like a couple of hair boxes, like the perm boxes, the hair color boxes, Clairol.
Mm-hmm. So we've seen you then actually in quite a few of these campaigns.
Yeah, and I've done print like for different magazines. I did a Dasani ad, like a Dasani print that was like in all these magazines, Essence, drawing a blank.
Well, that's all right. We get the idea.
And then after the break, I see more break happen.
In fact, we've got about 2 minutes before we do go to break.
Yes.
I just want to remind our listeners and viewers that you're listening to, yes, our audience, What's Hot Harlem America with G. Keith Alexander. And we have the lovely and talented Miss Maryam Basir. And we're going to talk about her film career when we come back, as well as her new TV show and her new, well, I wouldn't say new because she's been an entrepreneur for so long from what we've just learned. She's got a business here in Harlem also that is very popular. And we'll talk about that when we come back as well. So ladies and gentlemen, I thank you so very much. And I want to remind you also that you can subscribe to What's Hot Harlem America with G. Keith Alexander at all of your favorite platforms where you get your podcasts, and be on the lookout because soon, in fact, this particular show will also be on our TV channel coming up soon with many more surprises for you. So stick around and don't forget to share harlemamerica.com with your friends. I'm G. Keith Alexander, and we'll be right back. Please don't go away. Yes, welcome back. We're with Maryam. Maryam, so your work has taken you all around the world, and you've traveled to such countries as Japan, Paris, south of France, Italy, Thailand, Indonesia, and many others. Do you have any great stories you can tell us about your travels?
Oh my gosh. There's so many stories, when I go to other countries, I just kind of try to, I just go with the local customs and, try not to act like an American. I just try to, try to just, I sit on the floor, I eat, whatever the custom is. And, okay, I remember one time, I'll talk about this time when I was in the south of France going canyoneering, which is like, you're jumping off of like these rocks into the water, and you have on like a full wetsuit, a helmet, and
wow,
and like these boots that they give you. And I was there with a friend, and we were jumping, like you would go to like one rock, you would go through these mountain like river things, and you would jump off of one that was like kind of low. They start you there, and then you go higher and higher and higher. So the last one that we went to, it was about 3.5 stories high, right? Where you're jumping off a cliff into the water, and they tell you how to jump. Like, you're supposed to jump straight up. You're supposed to do this. Like, they teach you all the ways. And the person I was with was like, okay, you're on your own. I'm not going to jump off of that one. Most of the people didn't jump off of that one. I'm a daredevil. Like, I'll do, I used to be like anything, skydiving, whatever, all that.
Really? Wow.
I've done all that. But okay, so for this, I was like, I like to just challenge myself. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it. It's like 4 stories high. Like, just imagine jumping off like a 4-story building. And so,
no, I can't imagine, but go ahead.
And then and they tell you, I remember I ran, I said, okay, I'm just gonna do it. I ran and I jumped, and I forgot everything that I learned about how I was supposed to jump. My arms started flailing in there. I was just like, ah! I landed so hard in that water, it could not have been healthy for me. And my sister, who's a nurse, she's like, why did you do that, Maryam? You could have got brain damage, like all that stuff. So I don't risk my life quite as much anymore, but I remember that time I was like, I shouldn't, that was too, you know how you do something and I was like, okay, that was too far.
Yeah. Well, tell me about,
that I did it now.
tell me about the skydiving part. Now, when you're up that high and you're coming down, what's going through your mind at that point?
Okay, so you just got to put everything out of your mind at some point. Just be like, look, I'm just going to do this, whatever happens, happen, and accept your fate. So we were like, I think 16,000 feet in the air, and we're jumping out. So we jump out, and it's like, it's like air coming at your face. It's like air just so hard in your face, and it's just not even pleasant. It's not fun, right? And then boom, they let the thing go, the
parachute.
Yeah, the parachute. And then it's like, wow, it was so peaceful. It's like you're just floating in the air.
Really?
And it doesn't even feel like you're moving, actually. It just feels like you're just flying, just in the air, and then the ground is just coming closer and closer and closer to you. It's so beautiful. So the experience of like the craziness where it's like, and your face is like blowing, you see the pictures and the videos, just blowing, and you can't even, they're unrecognizable. That's how I was in my pictures. But yeah, once you get to the floating parts, it feels like you're just floating, and it's so peaceful. You can see the entire world beneath you, and then like the ground is just like, okay, it's like the ground is, you're not even going down, the ground is just coming closer and closer and closer to you. And then you land a little bit harder. You think, you don't realize you're going as fast as you're going down. And then when you land, it's like, you run, whatever. But the part that was the best was just like when I was just floating, like, wow, like looking at the earth. So
beautiful.
That was a good experience.
So that was just a one-time thing, though.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't need to go back. Like most experience, I'm like, okay, been there, done that. I don't need to do it again, because the next time I might not survive it. So I'm like, I'm okay. I survived that. Congratulations. Let me move on.
So tell us about your television experience. Did television come before films, or which was first?
It kind of like all just happened at one time. Like you're auditioning for a TV show, you're auditioning for a film. Yeah, it's just like when you get an agent that's like film and TV. It's like legit work, film and TV. It's both, so you could book a TV show, you could book, like a guest star role, or you could book like a film. You start meeting people who are doing independent films and then start working on independent films and stuff like that. So it's all kind of together. It was never like, oh, I just did. But then once I started doing more like legitimate, like more like the Law and Orders, the Shy, stuff like that. It's like, okay, you're getting like these serious walk-on roles on these major TV shows, Chicago PD. And then it's like, okay, now it's time for like a film. And then I did like my first big lead role in a film on BET, which was huge. That was last year. So like, I guess you could say that I transitioned from like those TV roles to like that film role. And then from that brings me to Lace, which is like, now I'm starring in my own, TV show. So I guess it is kind of like a process like that, TV.
Yeah. Well, what was it like working with Collier?
Oh my gosh, he's crazy. I love him. Michael Collier, he played my father in Holiday Heartbreak. He's insane, and I love it. Like, he was so funny on set, and he carried a lot of weight because he was number one on the call sheet. He was the star of the film, the male lead, and I was the female lead. I was number two, and it was, it carried a lot of weight for him. So he was like nervous about it, because it was just his first time like being number one on the call sheet, and it was a big deal. So even though he was nervous, he like pushed through everything. He was so serious about the role. Like we would practice for hours our scenes before we actually shot it, like a day or two before we shot the scene. We really got into the character, because he played my father, we had to establish that relationship, and he was just very serious about the role, and I respected, and he did a great job. His acting, he did a great job in the film.
Yeah, and for those who don't know Michael Collier, he's a great comedian.
Yes, he's a comedian.
He's really, really funny. And he also has I think he has a radio show.
Yes, he does. I've been on his show. Yep, he has a radio show and like an Instagram live thing that he does. He has a YouTube link thing that he does, and he's very committed to that as well. But yeah, no, he's a comedian too. Like, a lot of times he would say like comedians in Hollywood, they get like these walk-on roles or like these quick roles in films, but like this was like a comedian's chance to like show they can do like legit, and by legit, I just mean like serious straight acting, you know, which the comedy bits came out, but a lot of it was just like, he had to be very emotional. So he did a great job.
So,
excuse me.
How did you get Lace? Now you're starring in Lace. This is your starring role.
Yes. I'm Lacey McCullough from Lace. Yes.
Okay, and you play an attorney.
Yes, a high-powered attorney.
And this, okay, so now who else is in the cast with you?
So Sky Black is in the cast with me, who's an incredible talent. Terrell Carter, he plays my husband. Sky Black plays an attorney that's kind of like, he works for McCullough and Associates, my firm, and there's like a lot of crazy tension and drama that goes on between that. Tanyelle Wavers is in it. She's from Queen Sugar. She's an incredible talent. She also works at my firm. Mm-hmm. And so many different talented people are working on it with me. Yeah.
And this is going to be on the All Black Network. Yes,
which is like an AMC Plus. If you know, it used to be called the UMC, which was like the urban movie channel, but in 2021 they rebranded the entire network to call it All Black, and it's an AMC streaming network.
That's because everybody now wants to be associated with Black.
Black,
okay.
Right?
Black is in again. Okay.
Black again.
And Black is beautiful. Black Life Matters. You know. So you got the major corporations now rebranding themselves. And that's beautiful. So now your show Lace mm-hmm. will debut when?
So Lace is premiering at the American Black Film Festival. Speaking of Black, did we say right. Black, by the way? But yeah, it's at the ABFF, the American Black Film Festival, November 4th. It's premiering there, and then it'll air after that on the network. So we're really, really excited about that. This is a show that, this is the first time that I got, because you said, how did I get it? So mm-hmm. One day I got a phone call from my manager, and he said, you know, there's these people, they want to meet you, and, you know, there's a show called Lace. And I'm like, okay. He's like, they want to talk to you today. I was like, oh. And he said, you know, I told them, like, send me the script and then we'll look at it, and then we'll talk on Monday, right? It was a Friday. Mm-hmm. And so I read the script, and from the first page, I said, I have to do this. I have to do this. It is so good. From page one, I said, oh my God, I've never seen anything like this. I mean, I've seen it, but a lot of times you see like these, you know, how can I put this? Okay, so like, you see films like that, but you don't see us. You don't see Black people doing things like this.
Did you say Black?
Black. I did say Black.
Okay.
Black. So you don't see you. This was an opportunity for us to be able to show drama in a way that I hadn't seen it before, you know, personally. And so it's a great opportunity for me to be like, yes, I want to be a part of this. I have to do this. And, you know, when I met with the creators, Katrina and Michelle, it was like a no-brainer. And when I met with them, they said, you know, we found our Lace. Like, we have been looking, the most important piece was like, we needed Lace, and then we'll figure out the rest of the cast. And they said, I guess they looked into me, Katrina, she found me somehow, and she looked into me and just started researching me and stuff like that. And then, you know, I was on a list, I guess, and then something just made them say, okay, we want Maryam for this. And I, you know, I didn't audition for it. It was more so just like, it was conversation, and, you know, we talked about it. And then I did some work for them as far as like, just some videos and pictures for like the mood board and whatnot. But yeah, it was mine. It was always mine. I believe that, you know, I believe in manifestation. I believe in, you know, like, what's yours is meant for you, and nothing can take that away from you. And whatever's also on the other way, not meant for you, nothing could happen for you to get it. So I just kind of relax with mine and say, you know, if it's meant for me, it's meant for me. And this is one of those things that was meant for me. And then when I read the script, the writers are just so talented, and the creators, it's just such a dramatic, intense story with so many pieces, and each of the characters have their own storyline. And, you know, it's kind of like, even though I am the lead of the show, and the characters are so rich, you know, they each have their stories. So it's great. There's so many things going on with it and people are gonna love it. It's actually All Black Network's flagship show, So it's like, they're putting a lot behind this. And I remember the first time we had the meeting with like the whole cast, and like everyone was there, like AMC was there, like everyone was there just watching, like what's gonna happen. I didn't find this out till after the fact, because I was just
Really?
kind of like reading my lines, and we had to read like the entire season. It took us a few hours like to sit down and read the entire season, like with the whole cast, you know, like a table read, it's called.
Yes.
Because of COVID. So yeah, so it's such an exciting venture. And then as we were shooting, when I got to LA, and you know, day one, I'm like, okay, we're doing this, you know what I mean? And we go in and do it, and it's just, I'm so impressed by everything. I'm just like, wow, this is even better than I thought it was gonna be. And the way that they shot it, some of the like the shots that I saw were just gorgeous. And Jamal Hill, the director, is also very talented, and he was able to pull out the emotions from the actors. And I remember my first shot of the entire series, I had to identify a body, you know, of somebody that was close to me, and I had to like really well up the emotions. In my first scene, I started like crying.
Really? Oh, good.
That makeup, and they were like, no, that's all her.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
Yes, it was a great experience. We shot.
So that shows that you've got acting chops. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So are we gonna love this character, or are we gonna hate this character, or are we gonna hate this character?
Yes, that part.
Hate
this character. Like Lacey McCullough is willing to do whatever she has to do to ensure the success of her clients. Her clientele is it consists of like high-powered people, you know, and she has to protect those clients by any means, you know. So she does that, and in that she's going to make a lot of enemies, which she has a lot of enemies. She has people against her. She has people who are close to her who doesn't realize are her enemies, but she's always one step ahead. So the fact that like she's always she has like a major like guard up, and she's able to just like put people in their place and this and that, you're also going to see a vulnerable side of her as well, which is going to cause you to love her as well, you know. But some people are going to hate her. Some people already hate her.
All right, so once again, this is going to debut when?
November 4th.
November 4th on the All Black Network.
Black.
Okay, great. So what was it like working with people like Denzel and Wesley Snipes?
Oh my gosh. I remember when I worked with Denzel, I was so nervous because it was Denzel Washington. And I'll just tell you this little story. Okay, so when I was on set, I was running around telling everybody this joke, right? It was just like such a corny joke. And like Denzel Washington was just standing there one day next to me, and he's like, so Detroit, huh? And I'm like, how did you know I was from Detroit? You know, like I was born in Detroit, raised in Ann Arbor. So he was like, you know, you told me the other day. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, you know, Denzel Washington, you know. I was just trying to be cool, right? So I said, it smells like up dog in here. And he goes, what is up, dog? And I was like, nothing much with you. What's up? He said, I said, nothing much. What's up with you, dog? And then he was just like, and then I just ran away. So that was my experience.
I got to tell you, excuse me. It
was a horrible joke. And
I was just getting ready to say, pardon me, I got a frog in my throat. Pardon me. I was just getting ready to say that that joke wasn't too funny, but I laughed anyway.
It gets you to laugh. It works.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. And then what about Wesley?
No, Wesley's just cool. He's just cool. I mean, it was just like, you know, when I walked in the trailer and I just saw Wesley Snipes there, it's like, I rarely get starstruck because I get around, you know, I'm around a lot of, you know, different celebrities and stuff like that. But, you know, certain people you grow up seeing and like you respect them. And it's just like, you realize that these people are just cool, just like, you know, you and me, they're flesh and blood, you know. And, you know, he was just a very cool, even-tempered guy. And I have a lot of respect for these people. But just like watching people like Denzel, who's like in character the entire time, or like, you know, even when they yell cut, you know, I just I learn from them, you know. And because these are people like, you grew up, you watched them as a kid on TV, on movies, and then you're just like, wow. And then now you're working with these people. It's incredible to just watch them
I always admire the fact that they can stay in character for so long.
Yeah.
I worked on the film The Intern with Robert De Niro, and I had a few scenes with him. And excuse me, it was amazing how he stayed in character even after, the director yelled cut. He still stayed in character, and I thought that was pretty amazing.
I've never done that, but because some of my characters are really like mean, but I'm like gonna explore that next time. I think I'm gonna explore that because there's something to that. I'm able to like snap in and out of it. I'm able to just like go to myself and then just like go to the character. When they say I'm able to like get in the mode and just be like, okay, I'll go back to being me. But there's something behind that being character the entire time.
Well, Maryam, we've got 30 seconds before we go to break. Again, I want to remind folks that we're here with Maryam Basir, and you're going to see her in Lace on the All Black Network coming up soon. And we'll be right back to talk about more of her experiences as well as her business here in Harlem. We'll be right back. So, Maryam, you are. I'm sure that Lace is going to take up a lot of your time, but do you have any other projects in the pipeline?
Yes, I have some things brewing right now. One of them is a film that I'm going to be shooting next month. I can't really talk about it yet.
Okay.
But that there's a film I'm going to be shooting in July, and I'm up for a couple different things right now. That again, until everything's signed, sealed, and delivered, you can't really talk about it. But yeah, there's definitely stuff going on. I'm self-taping all the time and auditioning and stuff like that. So there are some exciting things coming up. That hopefully I'll be able to reveal very soon.
See, that's why I said that you're what's hot. Okay.
I was gonna say too, we were talking over the break about just like the characters and being in character the whole time. And I was gonna say that stuff, even though like I want to explore it, you kind of like it can take over. You know what I mean? It can make you a little bit cray cray. You know what I mean? It can make you like if you just stay too much in that character. Personally, I have to like step out of it sometimes and say, and just like woosah it out. But anyway.
I'm sure that there's some people that the character takes over their persona, not just the persona, but who they are for a while, and they have to kind of shake it off.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
After each scene, you got to kind of shake it off in a way, or after the day, I should say, not each scene. Like after the day, you just kind of have to say, there has to be like some kind of regimen. At least for me, I can't speak for everybody, but I have to just be able to just drain all that stuff from the day, and just like in order to have the energy to start fresh for the next day, because so much energy goes into being that person. Like it's an entire human with a background, with a story, with a family, all that you're creating. So it's like it does require a lot of energy.
I always ask my guests, is there anything that you've had to give up in order to be the success that you are, to be the performer that you are? Is there anything that you had to give up, or something that you feel like you left behind, or anything like that?
That's a really good question. I feel like life happens in steps of, okay, this is what's happening in your life. This was happening in your life. And it kind of like is already written, like whatever's going to happen for you. So there was never anything that was going to happen, that didn't happen in my life. So, but I feel like you do have to give up in that moment. You have to be vulnerable and just give up any kind of protection. You're protecting your emotions. You're protecting, like in life we go through where we just like, okay, let me just keep it together, even whatever you're going through.
Right.
Together. But with acting, you got to let all that go. Let it go. And just really access those emotions and just let them go. You have to just be able to say, okay. And it's great. I realize that acting is actually very therapeutic, because you can use all the things that are happening in your life and just kind of like replace it with this stuff. You just start crying. You're like, okay. That's why you're able to like get those tears.
Right.
Give up what is the opposite of vulnerability? Whatever that is, that's what you have to give up. And just be completely vulnerable if you want to really be in it, you know, stop trying to protect it. It's just like, they say it's like just being like, you know, naked in front of like a huge crowd, you know, that's how vulnerable you have to be emotionally.
Emotionally, yeah. Whatever the character is, you've got to become that character. I used to tell when I used to teach voiceovers, I'd tell my students, don't read it, be it.
Be it, yeah.
You know, and in order to do that, you have to get rid of all the, you know, protections and stuff around you, you know. Yeah.
You're taught to have in our lives. You have to like unlearn that stuff. You know, Mariska Hargitay, who's plays Officer Benson on Law Order SVU, she directed like this episode that I was on, and she was one of the best directors I've ever worked with. She just told me, she said, you know, she told me so many things. And she was like my number one cheerleader. She was just so great. And one thing that she told me was like, you just don't even act, you know, you don't need to act. And, you know, that's the one thing I've heard also. It's like, don't act, just be, just do, just be, just say it, just say the words, like how you would say it. Think about it and like feel it and then just say it. You don't have to act, because you think like, you know, that's when it's acting. Nobody talks like that in real life.
Right.
She told me, she said, you have everything. You have everything. She said, you remind me of myself. I'll never forget Mariska. She said, you have everything you need. She said, you have the beauty, you have the voice, you have the body, you have everything you need, the personality to be successful, to be a big star in this industry. Is what she told me. And she said, you just gotta just let go and just say it, you know? And that's the hardest part, when there are hundreds of people around you, camera, lighting, you know, the sound people, extras, everybody's around you watching you, and it's like, okay, action, and the camera's right here on you. That's when you're like, okay, you have to just let it go and just be vulnerable. That's the hardest part.
That's the hardest part. You just made me think of something when you said, you know, the cameras and everyone around are around while you're shooting your scene. Does Lace get a sex scene?
Yeah, several.
And you got all the camera people looking and what was that like?
Oh my gosh. So Terrell, the guy who plays my husband, is wonderful. Like, he's great. He makes me feel so comfortable. You know, you have conversations beforehand. Plus, you know, ever since like the Me Too, they have like a kind of like a sensitivity coordinator there, like a love scene coordinator who like just watches the whole thing, facilitates the whole thing. It's just kind of there to make you feel comfortable, to just say, is everything okay? So it's not bad. It's kind of like, it's not really sexual in a way, because it's kind of like all these people are around you just watching you.
Right.
Okay. So, I mean, there are some very attractive, beautiful men on this show. Like, that's one thing that they said. They said, we're going to get people who can act, but we're going to get hot people who can act. You know, so there's some hot people on this show. And, you know, there's some very steamy sex scenes. There's like a shower scene. There's like the bed scene. There's this one scene where I literally have to perform the act with my husband. And then they switch him out because it's like a fantasy of somebody else. So they literally right then switch the guy out. Have to switch, and then they switch. So it's interesting.
Wow.
Because, huh? What'd you say?
I said, wow.
Yeah, it's a lot. But like I said, with the drama, there's a lot of really crazy things that go on with that show. So so it's not, you know, everything's very tasteful, you know, tastefully done. But yeah, the sex scenes they're fine, because you talk to the person, you say, the guys usually say, you know, are you uncomfortable? Is there anywhere that's sensitive that you don't want me to touch? Or, you know, and you kind of like, you know, there are things to block things, and, you know.
I was just going to ask you, is there a towel between the two of you, you know, that sort of thing?
Sky, he has a way of doing it where he does it, whatever, to himself. Listen, okay. Sometimes things can fall off. It can get so it's just like, you know, it's weird. But like I said, it's not really, it's work. You know what I mean? It's work. At the end of the day, it's professional. It's like, you know, everybody's watching. It's not like you know, I don't understand how people can like get so into it, and there are like all these people around watching. You can't really get into it in that way. It's more so like, okay, it's work. Okay, now cut, you know? So then sometimes I'm like, okay, cut.
Wow. That's interesting. So, so before we were talking about your entrepreneurial spirit,
Yes.
and you had brought that entrepreneurial spirit to New York, to Harlem.
Yeah, I love to start a business.
I'm sorry, say what?
I love to start a business, yes.
Yes. So tell us about your business here in Harlem.
So I have a microblading studio called Highbrow Microblading and SMP, which is scalp micropigmentation. So it's basically like it's like drawing eyebrow tattoos into people's eyebrows to thicken their eyebrows. And it's kind of like, it lasts like up to 3 years. And it's like, I draw these tiny little fine hair strokes into their eyebrows. Because I've always been into drawing. I've always been into like, you know, makeup, beauty, all that kind of stuff. So it was a natural transition. I was on set of a commercial in Michigan when I heard about microblading, and I heard somebody said, this lady, she does microblading. She charges like $600, $650, and she's booked out until September. And I'm like, wait, what? And then I've always been like obsessed with eyebrows. And so when I started researching microblading, I said, oh my gosh, this is a thing. Like, it was incredible. The fact that like you can actually, because there are people who are like, I've had clients who are like cancer survivors and they lost their eyebrows. I have people who just never had eyebrows, people who like wake up and dry their eyebrows on before they see their husband in the morning, and they're like insecure about that. Yeah. And people won't go anywhere without their eyebrows, but they have to draw them on. Some people can't draw. Some people don't just draw like rainbow. And so this is a solution for people who just don't have eyebrows, or they just want to have perfect eyebrows all the time. They come to me and they get this service called microblading, and it's just become popular over the last few years. When I heard about it on set, I was like, you know, it's nice to have something, even like you're an actor, you're an artist, but it's nice to have something like stable to have like the income flowing in as well.
Exactly.
So this is my thing. I said, I'm gonna look into that. I called around and I found an instructor. I went and got classes, certifications, insurance, everything done. This was like about 4 years ago. And then I just started doing it. I just started my business, and I said, I'm going to start a business. It's called Highbrow, and it's a microblading service. And then I started doing SMP, which is scalp micropigmentation, where it like draws little hair follicle dots in men's scalps to make it look like they meant to shave their head instead of like
really
shiny bald spot, or it fills in bald spots. You should Google it. It's great. And my business is, you know, I rent out a studio in Harlem on 135th and 7th Avenue. And a lot of people come to me. If you Google Highbrow microblading or just microblading in Harlem, you'll see I have like all 5-star reviews. People love the service. And you can see like pictures of what it actually is. And it's incredible. It's life-changing for people. And that's the best part to me. It's like, I can be an artist. I can do something. I can, you know, set my own hours and do it. Like when I'm not shooting, I can be doing that. You know, it's not like a 9 to 5. I've never had like a 9 to 5 ever in my life. So this is something that, you know, I just love doing it. I love the transformational nature. I love when the women say, oh my God, they cry sometimes. And it just makes me feel so good. Be helping them to be more confident in themselves. So yes.
Well, so then men can get mustaches.
If they're like sparse here, you could draw little hairs and nobody will ever know. It's actually
really wow.
Yeah. It's fascinating when you don't, because they're very, very thin. They look just like they're. Some people are like, is that a hair or is that like a stroke that you drew? And, you know, if you look at my Instagram, it's Highbrow Official, HIBROW, Highbrow Official. Then you can see like the before and afters and like what actually it looks like. And it's like so worth it because people don't have to touch their eyebrows. They just wake up like that and, you know, they're good. They come to me maybe like a year and a half later for a touch up sometimes, or whenever they want to touch up. But, you know, it's semi-permanent. So
that's very interesting. So, all right. So now, we're winding down, and this has been such a wonderful conversation with you, and to be able here to sit with you and talk about all of this. Is there anything you want to do that you haven't done yet?
Oh, there's so much that I want to do that I haven't done yet. I'll let you finish your question. Like, was that?
Well, no. I was just going to say we've got about a minute and a half. So if you're going to tell me what it is you want to do, you can't tell me everything.
Not everything, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to win an Oscar.
Okay. I'm going to hold you to that.
Yes, We're gonna manifest that.
Okay. When you go up to get the Oscar, I want you to say hi to G. Keith Alexander.
Hey G Keith, what's
There
up?
you go. Okay.
Shout out. Yeah, I want to visit every single country in the world. Even if I just step my foot in there. I've been to like 20, 23, 24 countries already, and I just want to visit all of them.
Wow.
I want to, it's so crazy because like some of the things that I say I want to do, like I want to start my own TV series, like that's happening. You know, I want to shoot many seasons of Lace. I want that to grow.
We'll have to leave it right there because we have come to an end of this wonderful conversation. And I want to thank you so very, very much. We look forward to seeing you on Lace and seeing some of those sex scenes, of course. And and so thank you so very much, Maryam Basir.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I'll see you next Friday on What's Hot Harlem America with G. Keith Alexander. And don't forget to tell your friends, go to harlemamerica.com for a whole lot of wonderful surprises. Thank you so much. Have a great day and a better one tomorrow. Bye-bye.